Hello everyone, my name is Michael and welcome to the Worst Outtakes. Today is a special episode, being that it's episode 20. Thank you all so very much for helping us get this far, and I really hope that you stick around for what is to come later on down the line. But for now, it's time to begin with what we're doing today. On this episode of the Worst Outtakes, we'll be going down memory lane and giving an in-depth recap into all that's happened in the last 5 episodes. This is so if that you missed anything or had to skip an episode at some point, you could still know what's happening and carry on with the ongoing story without being left out. With that being said, let's start at episode 16, Familiar Faces in New Places. We continue where we left off, travelling via cart to New Trakan, the city of clerics. The road was long and bumpy, and we hadn't had much chance to rest. But eventually we did find a small hamlet, albeit in Outtakes territory, but it was still a place to stop in, grab some food. This hamlet had a large, strange obelisk that pierced the clouds themselves. It created a small ring-type shape around this little hamlet. It was very eerie, and our guide asked us to leave as fast as we could. So while he went into town and got his supplies quickly, we did have a quick investigate of the town just to see what was here and get a closer look at this obelisk and see what it was doing. We couldn't really figure that out as we didn't have enough time, and we continued back on the road once he was done. On the way out, however, night quickly approached, and Oam heard some strange noises from the forest. Something was approaching quickly. While half of the party couldn't see it, they recognized its voice. It was the hag from Tulakari. It was somehow alive again and back with vengeance. It attacked the cart, slamming on top of it, trying to throw people all around. It managed to chuck Oam quite a distance and even tried to do the same to Memor. However, he was too heavy and armoured and broke one of her spider legs. With a lucky critical hit of a spell from Nylon, he was able to incinerate the hag yet again, as he did last time. With another rest interrupted, they were tired and weary. On their travels, they did find another village, and in exchange for agreeing to help catch a thief, the clerics there would agree to see what they could do to help Nylon. With that, the episode ended, and then we moved straight on to episode 17, the Outtakes village. We start off in the town we made it to in the last episode, and take up a job for the clerics to help catch a thief. The job was done quite easily, and the thief was put in jail with most of the donations being returned to them. The clerics are able to heal Memor's leg that was broken by the Jenga Genie and Oam's ribs that were broken by the Chimera, aka a goot. However, they were not able to cure Nylon's condition. Seeing as it's now a time to explore, our group splits up. Oam attends an auction of rare goods. He cannot buy anything, however, as he has no money. However, he does see an Outtakes in the crowd buy a strange item. The Outtakes in this village are not shunned. In fact, most are welcomed. Due to his complicated past with such forces, he follows the Outtakes into an alleyway. However, realizing he was seen, turns back before he gets himself killed. Before we agree to rest, we are approached by another Outtakes, this one acting more friendly. He offers us protection through friendship, as we find out that this village is Outtakes territory, owned by them in all. Oam, not trusting the man, decides to go camp outside the village yet again. While pitching his tent, the Outtakes stalks him, brandishing a knife. Oam turns around and kills him in one hit. It was rather hilarious. Due to such action, though, our protection through friendship was void, so we had to leave the village once again without rest. And heading back on the road is where the episode ended. And where we move on to episode 18, New Trakan. It starts off on the final stretch towards the city of clerics, New Trakan, where Memor gets a second wind and starts theory crafting on what ways Nylon can be healed, or what even is it. Theories such as curses, hexes, maybe potions and alchemy, or other such means. He eventually comes to the conclusion to cut it straight at the cause, and the best way to heal it would be to kill the creature that did it in the first place. However, the problem would be finding it. Before they can get to talking about that, though, they finally arrive at the city, a huge, grand atmosphere filled with holy energies from all the different religions. Giant bridges spanning the entire place, connecting domain to domain. Before sightseeing, our group was in dire need of rest, and we took a nice long rest in actual comfy beds. The next morning, however, first thing on the agenda, heal Nylon. We decide to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and visit the Forge domain first, so Mud can look at his fellow men of cloth. Once inside, their domain was a mountain that was hollowed out into a giant forge hall. Smoke plumed everywhere from the forges, and the sound of steel being bent into shape by hammers filled the entire place. Nylon, being lightheaded from the necrosis, passes out from all the smoke and arrives in a similar void to when he was taken by the creature. However, this time, this is more of a astral projection of kinds. He sees this creature that cursed him. He sees it in this town. And that's where it left off. Moving on to the next episode. Episode 19. The City Catacombs. Nylon wakes up from his passing out, and the clerics attempt to heal the curse. Many different spells are cast: lesser restoration, remove curse, greater restoration. However, none of it works. Several different clerics try, and the party come to a conclusion that the creature must have placed some kind of magic ward to stop any magic from removing this curse, to stop its slow killing of Nylon. The group decides to seek help from another domain of clerics, specifically the ones of the magic domain, for if anyone knew the way to break a magical ward, it would be them. We take a long walk through the Ratways, a sprawling catacomb under the city that you needed a specific guide to take you through, or otherwise you'd most certainly get lost. They make it to the magic domain and ask one of their top clerics for aid. With a prayer and a casting of some spells, they inform us the only way to end this ward is to kill the creature. They scry the location and reveal that it is, in fact, in the city, like Nylon saw. The party nods and delves back into the Ratways to go searching for it. They spend a long time searching and don't really find anything until a set of footprints, eerily similar to the ones found in the ruins long ago. The footprints keep going and going until they eventually shift into the footprints of a centaur. The creature has disguised itself as someone from Nylon's memory. Only knowing one centaur, that means there was a second memoir running around the city. The group decide to split up. Mud and Nylon head back to the clerics to try and get a more accurate scry of which domain to look for. However, Memoir and Oem keep following the trail to see if they can find it on their own. With that plan set in motion, the episode ends and makes way for episode 20, The Ruined God in New Trakan. With the plan set and the group split, it starts from Nylon and Mud's perspective, arriving back at the magic domain to speak with their cleric again. They ask them to scry Memoir, specifically. As there are 2 of him, it should come up with 2 different perspectives. One has Owen with him, and the other should be on their own. As we look at the magical image before us, we see that this creature is hiding in the death domain. Nylon conjures up a phantasmal steed and rides over there as fast as he can. Meanwhile, Memoir and Oem, by luck, make their way to the death domain, exactly where it is. The group meets up again and finds the fake Memoir in the middle of a crowd. They manage to disperse the crowd through quick thinking, and then the combat begins, with Mud making the first strike. The creature begins to drop its disguise over a brutal battle, its limbs extending. It was a lot more terrifying and fearsome than when we first saw it, as it had grafted the bones of all of the residents it had been stealing from this place onto its new body, making it much more deadly. Oem and Mud took quite a beating from this fight. However, Nylon and Memoir managed to come out pretty much unscathed. Upon weakening the creature quite badly, it teleports itself away. Oem, trying to get the last hit in, gets taken with it, and stranding him in this strange shadowy dimension where Nylon once was. With the group standing there, not quite knowing what to do, it ends. Thank you all very much for listening in once again. Your continued support means so much to the channel and so much to me, because I honestly didn't think we'd get this far, and I'm so happy we did. I'm having a blast, and I'm fairly certain everyone else is too. If you wanted to message us, you can on Instagram at TWODNDpodcast. That is TWODNDpodcast. You can also message us through the YouTube comment section. We try our best to keep up with that. There's also all of our other social media that exists, stuff like Twitter/X, Reddit, or TikTok. We can also be found on other platforms such as Spotify under the exact same username, TWODNDpodcast. Thank you all for watching. I've been Michael, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Bye-bye!